Holy saxophones and misdemeanors. This is Flight Check, Season 4, Episode 18. We're back once again with a brand new episode of Flight Check, talking all aspects of FlyQuest, and I do mean pretty much all. We've got a lot to cover tonight. Some huge wins and some upsets on multiple sides of the esports coin. My name, as always, is Sandy Toes, and to my left and my extra left, my fellow hosts Noxwar and Curly Double Q. Fellas, big weekend of action for FlyQuest. FlyQuest LCS securing playoffs after a, we'll call it a little bit of a shaky 2-1.
Yeah, that's fair, I would say.
FlyQuest Challengers also in a 2-1, but unfortunately on the losing end of it against Blue Otter. But then in the best 2-1 of the weekend, in my opinion, FLY.RED taking down longtime North American rivals Shopify Rebellion in the first qualifier for Game Changers Series 3, securing that first seed, and I am fairly certain entrance into the Game Changers Champions tournament later on in the year. I don't think there's anything that can be done at this point against them, right?
I thought they were qualified based off of what I was told or read in the FlyQuest Discord last week. Like, if they even, as long as another team did not win the tournament, I'm pretty sure points-wise they're qualified in.
Yeah. So, I think, if they win the OQ to secure their spot in the main event, they'll be at least second in points. So as long as one of them or Shopify wins Series 3 in September, they are headed to Game Changers, which is truly, truly awesome for this team in their first full year of competition under the FlyQuest banner. So we've got a lot to talk about tonight. Some big moves. But first of all, let's get into something that I'm going to call one big thing, which I actually think I might be stealing from Pardon the Interruption on ESPN. Shout out to that long-time running show. One big thing, I'm going to ask you guys, one big thing from the weekend in the esports world. What was it for you guys? What did you catch? It could be league related, doesn't have to be LCS. It could be Valorant, it could be Counter-Strike, it could be literally anything. What was one big thing that caught your eye from this past weekend?
I mean, not to reiterate, but honestly, I think the big thing is FlyQuest.RED beating Shopify Rebellion. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. I'm pretty sure Shopify has beaten FlyQuest.RED in the past 6 matchups that they've met.
Yeah.
So it is actually extremely, extremely huge. Excuse the grammar on that was terrible. It was very, very huge that FlyQuest.RED ended up finally getting this win over Shopify. So hopefully the team can continue to ride this high going into the actual event. And maybe they can even replicate their success. Because, hey, this whole time we've been theorizing, right? It's like, okay, Shopify, like, we just don't beat them. They're too good. We'll settle for second place. We just want to go to Game Changers champs.
Well, yeah, that was our whole mentality, was just get to Game Changers. That'll be an accomplishment all on its own.
So, but now, if we're managing to beat Shopify in a series, let's go for first seed. That gives us better placements in champs and a better chance to win the whole thing. So,
absolutely.
I would really, really love to see that happen going forward.
Yeah, completely agree.
Oh, yeah.
Curly, I'll turn to you. What's your one big thing from the weekend?
Run from it. Dread it. G2 winning the LEC comes all the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you do.
Like,
it doesn't matter. Actually, the only thing that matters is if you're winning or losing in them to them in the early game, apparently, because that's the only way that you'll win. It was all comebacks.
Yeah.
It's one of the most ridiculous ways to win a split I have ever seen.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it is a clown split because none of that matters for world seeding. They were already going to be there. Now the rest of it goes to this season finals.
Yeah. Like, shout out to Fnatic for, I think, their first time beating G2 in a best of 5 in like 800 days or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the last one was
it has
2022.
Yeah, it has been a long time for them. So for them to get that 3-2 must have felt good, obviously, like 110%. But G2
and then
with the bounce back. Yeah, I need to look at what the season finals, the seeding looks like. Carmen Corp not making it. Even though they did a bit of a miracle run, which was really interesting.
They were so close. They just flopped a little bit against BDS.
Yeah. They did.
Which, what a team to flop against.
Yeah. So what I didn't realize was season finals. Oh, do they not?
What's up?
I was just looking to see what season finals look like.
Yeah. So
they don't know who is playing SK or Giant X. Crazy to me that Giant X is the team that made it through with champ points and whatnot. Heretics and Vitality, ultimately, two teams that you would say on paper better than Giant X. But Giant X, they're in there, and they've got a shot. They could make it to Worlds, which would be a time and a half. All right, my one big thing. Not the Valorant Shopify Rebellion, but the LCS Shopify Rebellion. Getting their first victory of the summer split with a 2-0 over Dignitas. Now, I have to admit, I've not been able to watch that matchup yet. But that is still coming in as my one big thing from the weekend, if only because it is a commentary on Dignitas themselves. Everyone thought this team was going to be, worlds bound, battle FlyQuest for 3rd seed at Worlds. And now they're sitting in 5th place behind NRG, who also don't look very good. So, yeah, Shopify is just like, it's crazy to me that they got that dub. Crazy to me that technically they are still in the running for playoffs, with only 2 weeks to go. Like, just looking at it game score wise, you have 4 teams sitting at 1-4. And then in game score, it's Dignitas is 4-8, 100 Thieves is 3-8, and Immortals and Shopify are both 2-8. So just the bottom half of the LCS is just this ridiculous traffic jam.
I think there'd be a certain comedy if Immortals and Shopify somehow end up in 5th and 6th over Dignitas and 100 Thieves.
I'd love that. That'd be so brilliant.
It'd be the most insane thing ever.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, due to matchups, it's kind of hard due to 100 Thieves still having to play Immortals.
Right.
Well, actually, I guess that's probably beneficial.
No, that makes it easier.
That'll make it even more interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Immortals plays Dig. Okay, and then Shopify plays Fly. That's kind of rough.
Shopify
and then they
plays us, but then they play 100 Thieves. Shopify can still if 100 Thieves just has a really bad 2 weeks.
Here's how Bernie can still win, guys.
Oh man! All right,
throw it back 8 years real quick.
Yeah, here's how Bernie can still win. Yeah, here's how Shopify can still make it. Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. And here's the worst part, in my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but whichever of these teams make it into playoffs, it's like, congrats, you made playoffs. Now you get to lose to one of Cloud9, TL, or FlyQuest. That has to feel terrible, right?
Yeah, that would.
I mean,
yeah.
One could only hope that through going through the gauntlet of barely skimming by, you get your shit together for the postseason, especially because Aren't we in for another strange break coming up soon? Am I crazy about that?
Not in the regular season.
I think there's a week off heading into playoffs.
Yeah.
If I
Okay, yeah,
remember
no,
correctly.
never
Because
mind.
we have
Yeah,
matches this weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, and then
yeah.
the next Saturday and Sunday, and then going into playoffs. Actually, no. The apparently it starts on the 17th. So
Oh wow! All right,
Oh, so no,
I don't know where I
there's no
got
more
that in my
breaks.
head.
so which is the yeah, it's the Saturday. So they go straight into it.
I'll take
There
it.
might be a break later on in this.
I
know
think
there's some funky
playoffs has
formatting.
something weird. There's something weird with. We'll look that up later. We'll look
Yeah,
that up
we'll
later.
have
We'll
to-
get it
I
on.
know there's some funky formatting. Like there's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or something. I think later
Yeah,
on in the
no.
playoffs. But
I'll pull it up in the middle of the show, and then we'll talk about it later.
All right. Well, let's
Meantime.
get into some of the review from this week. So FlyQuest LCS taking on 100 Thieves. Bwippo maybe jinxing himself a little bit, tweeting beforehand something about taking a DNA test or a paternity test to see if Sniper is his son or not. And that did not pan out too well for him. Ultimately, let's dive into game one because I think that's the biggest pain point, right? Knox, looks like you've got something you want to say about this matchup.
yeah, as good as banner as it was from Whippo about the paternity testing, I was cackling when I first read it.
It's very funny.
He did not live up to what his past expectations of himself were for that matchup, right?
No.
Like it felt pretty bad watching him get solo killed in lane to Sniper, which to be fair, Sniper is known to do that to pretty much every top laner in the league. He just had not done it to Bwippo yet. So I guess
Yeah.
this was just finally his time. Yeah, so that was kind of disappointing because I think, especially in the comp that FlyQuest had drafted for that game one, which, in case you need a quick reminder, Cassante top, Nidalee jungle, Lucian mid, Callista, AD carry, Bard support, versus 100 Thieves, Jax top, Brand jungle, Zeri mid, Jhin bot, and Nautilus support. It's a very skirmish-heavy team comp, and you really rely upon the Cassante to kind of be the disruptor and like, hey, focus on me kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if you're getting solo killed early on to Sniper's Jax, you're not going to have the strength to be able to handle the rest of the team later on. And so you get Nidalee, Lucian, Callista, Bard, these four squishy champions that are just getting pounced upon and just completely obliterated by the Brand, Zeri, and Jhin. So and don't get me wrong, there's other macro decisions that were kind of going wrong in that game too, but a lot of that I felt really came down to Bwippo was not strong enough to be able to handle the pressure that was going to be shoved upon him so that way his team could flourish in other areas.
Yeah. No, those are all good points. Curly, what were your insights from this series?
I mean, yeah, it was definitely Whipple had a bit of a rough start. I think he got it together a lot more in games 2 and 3. But like in that first game, it was just kind of like, not really good. That being said, something I felt was consistent all series was the bot lane early game, which is one of the best things I think I could say, considering I remember, if we all remember Spring Split, every week was like, yeah, we're at the top of the league, but bot lane's early game.
Yeah.
Is
And now
and
it
granted,
feels like bot lane has really like stepped up, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The scaling of Masu and Busio over the course of this entire season is like really, really satisfying to see.
We'll do our all pro later on, I'm sure, but like I currently have both Busio and Masu in all pro, and
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, granted, I think they were last split too, but I think I have Masu even higher than he was last split. So I've been very, very happy with how the guys have been performing in the bot lane.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think bot lane has really stepped. And we like asked that of them too. As this is not just like, oh, we, this was something that we were like, hey, this needs to happen. In order for this team to get better. So very happy to see that they have been improving in this way. And hopefully, they'll continue to perform and get into playoffs and keep performing as well. That's even more key. You can perform in regular season all you like. It's just, you're going to have to perform in the playoffs when it ultimately counts as well.
Now, you want to talk about performing this weekend? Quad, baby.
Yeah.
I know Masu was player of the week, but Quad, he was really doing it for me.
I mean, the two wins, 2-0-8 on the Lucian, 7-0-3 on the Corki. And I will say, and then 3-3-3 on the Lucian in the
he was even looking good on the Lucian in the first game until things started falling apart.
I actually really enjoy him on the Lucian because it's not Corki and it's not Tristana, so it's like a different champ in the mid lane, a different AD champ in the mid lane. But yeah, I feel like he's really been the player that we were expecting him to be. And I'll be honest, I don't really feel like there's been any like critical mistakes or errors that I've observed from him.
So I was actually going to comment on that.
Yeah.
The reason why I think Masu ended up getting it instead of Quad for this series is two things. One, I think I don't know who votes on these things, but I think there was a part of the committee or the voting group that felt bad for Masu for not getting it last week, because he had an incredible performance last week that saved the whole FlyQuest team in that Baron pit, getting the Baron and taking out the rest of the team and saving the whole series basically. And B, he did have a good series. I thought Quad had a better series overall, but there was one very, very critical mistake in game 1 that I noticed, and that was the Rift Herald fight where FlyQuest is skirmishing with 100 Thieves, and Quad is top side pushing the wave in, and you can see him start to come down as the fight's starting, and then he turns back to continue to shove the wave, and FlyQuest loses the fight horribly, and that's when 100 Thieves continues to snowball the game from there. If he had actually come down, because I think he was 2-0-1 at that point, he actually had a amount of power on his champ. I think if he actually comes down and joins that fight, I think it's a totally different ball game. But he made some decision for whatever reason to continue to shove the wave, and Fly ended up losing the fight and losing the game because of it. So that one critical error, I think, is probably why he did not get player of the series for this series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's totally fair. Game 1 was a bit of a throw. How much concern does that raise for you guys to see a throw to a team like 100 Thieves?
If we hadn't bounced back from it in the next 2 games, I would probably be pressed. But like, we didn't let it hold us back, which I think is the best part about best of 3s. Is you get to be like, oops, we messed up. Let's not do that again.
I think for me, what it just truly dictates that FlyQuest is currently, power ranking wise, the 3rd best team in the league. They are behind Cloud9. They are behind Team Liquid. Because the thing is, I don't think Team Liquid and Cloud9 are going to be dropping those kind of games to 100 Thieves or other teams of that caliber. They're going to close it out no matter what. Make mistakes in that game. So something like this just tells me it's like you're not quite at that level, Fly. If you really wanted to show that you're contending for first place right now with TL and C9, I think this is a game you probably don't drop and you don't have that kind of mistake. And you go, okay, yeah, no, I can see you absolutely fighting for first along with 2 other teams. But for me, it doesn't really solidify that possibility, and it just kind of continues to cement my idea that this is a 3rd place team right now. So going to the next 2 weeks, I'm really hoping to see Fly really solidify themselves, especially against Shopify, right? Like, I know they just had a 2-0 against Dig, but they're still not a good team in my opinion, and I don't really want to see another 2-1, so to speak. Like, I want to see this team really shut them down and say, hey, we're here to fight. And just because this team is not on the same level as C9 and TL doesn't mean that we can't show our prowess and our ability to actually be a elite level team in the North American LCS.
Yeah, absolutely. Curly, anything you want to add?
Not particularly. I think we kind of talked everything through.
Totally.
For this.
So, okay, so on the flip side, game 1, bit of a throw. Game 3, I'm just going to advance all the way to game 3. Absolute stomp. I mean, 23-05. on the timer. And I think the funniest thing about this game to me, inspired on the Ivern 00 and 16. that is just the most classic Ivern KDA of all time. No kills.
Oh yeah,
Just assists. Just farming.
he showed up. He helped.
Hanging out in the trees, hanging out in the forest. That's just the funniest thing to me.
Let's talk about like the fact that we only gave 100 Thieves 2 kills in the entire game.
And they both went to River. Just like some real, domination.
Bottom half of the map didn't even get a takedown, bro.
Yeah,
like not.
Really, really clean stuff. To me, this like fills, the whole that was left by that game 1 performance. Okay, sure, had a bit of a struggle fest, in game 1, but now game 3, okay, we just came right back and absolutely cleaned up. So to me, it doesn't make me super concerned about our ability to shut things down. How about you guys? Does this game 3 kind of rectify any concerns that game 1 might have caused?
For sure. I mean, like I said earlier, it kind of like shows the benefit of the best of 3.
Yeah.
And a good mentality of FlyQuest. Granted, some people might like say it's not as valuable because it's against 100 Thieves, one of the teams that's potentially going to fall out, could still fall out of the playoffs run.
Yeah.
Or at least qualifying. So like some people are like, but like even so, it's just the fact to lose and then bounce back and become more dominant. If you can then replicate that when it comes to playoffs, where it's more best of 3s and best of 5s, that's good,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it does reassure me in a sense. Like if you drop a game, like we do have the mentality to bounce back, and that is important for a best of 5 series and playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. The only 2-1 series of the week. I really want to ask you guys. So, in the last 3 weeks, weeks 3, 4, and 5, there's been 12 matchups. Only 2 of them have gone the distance. Do you guys feel like best of 3 is working as intended? Or because it is a bit of a bummer to me when we get these like TL versus Immortals or Cloud9 versus Energy, and they're just 2-0 stomps, right? Where it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. I don't necessarily need 2 games to tell me that TL is better than Immortals. It's obviously it's more interesting when you have these middle of the pack teams or bottom tier teams, and maybe you like actually find out like, okay, who is the best of the mid teams. But I mean, how are you guys feeling about best of 3s? Because I know this is a ongoing conversation in the scene as a whole.
I mean, I think it is working as intended. It's just the reality is the quality of the league is lower than it was in spring, or at least the parity.
The parity was way better in spring.
Yeah.
If we had best of 3s in spring, I think like it would be spicy. I think LCS would have skyrocketed in viewership and tension. But like, unfortunately, by the time we introduced it, we've got this top heavy league. But then also maybe, I guess, I wonder in other regions with best of 3, does it also end up being kind of top heavy? Like what? I don't watch LCK that much. I just know that T1 and Genji are usually at the top. Never get hyped for KT Rolster. Hanwha Life is there. Like,
I mean,
is it still top heavy?
LCK is actually pretty balanced. Like, don't outside of Genji, right? Genji's 12-0, and they've dropped literally one game the whole split.
They're crazy.
But the rest of the playoff. Yeah, the rest of the playoffs, it's so Hanwha Live 10-2, D plus 8-4, T1 7-5, KT Rolster 6-6, Fear X 6-6, and even then going below that, you have Kwangdong who's outside the playoffs, but they're at 5-7, and then you get into the 3-9, 2-10, 1-11. So I mean, middle of the pack's actually still fairly close.
Unironically,
China's
Guangdong is my DRX this year, dude. If they made
noted.
if they made
Noted.
playoffs, I'm all in on Guangdong Freaks. Leaper, get this guy in LCS. He is cracked, by the way.
Okay,
When did
Mr.
Ryan
Scout
change
over
their
here.
sponsor? What the heck? Sorry. Anyway.
The other one I was going to say, China's a little harder to say because
Yeah.
the way their format works now, they had it split into multiple different groups. I even like the Group A, which is like the group that did better, like they topped their group initially. It's not top heavy. It's fairly like kind of spread out outside of the two bottom teams, which are both 0-7 at 2-14 games each. So, I mean, I would say LCS is kind of the odd one out. I think it really is just a lack of parity in our league right now.
Okay. I just found out that LPL has groups. What?
Yeah, their format is all of
Wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, so what they did, Curly, and for anyone else who missed it, they basically did. They did groups.
Yeah.
So they did 3 groups of 4 and a group of 5.
Okay.
Top 2 in each group, except for the final group, I think it was top 3, made it to like the, what do they call it? Nirvana group?
There's Group Ascend and Group Nirvana.
Yeah, and I think maybe Ascend is the good group.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so top 9 make it to Ascend, and bottom 8 make it to Nirvana. And basically, from then they play like a single round robin of those groups. I know, this is crazy. I feel like Charlie from It's Always Sunny, as I'm like,
That's not even why I'm
Detail
shocked.
this
Like
out.
that, but like keep going. Like that's confusing me. I just saw where RNG is right now,
Oh.
and I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah, they're bad.
what?
They're
Yeah,
bad.
they're bad now, by the way. So yeah, Group Ascend, there's 9 teams in it. They play single round robin. Top 7 in Group Ascend qualify for playoffs. And then top 4 in Group Nirvana, the bottom group, go into a playoff bracket with the bottom 2 from Ascend to determine who gets the final spots in playoffs. And it's very funny because there's like, you just see like teams that, it's like you've got like LNG who's looked really, really good. JDG's actually been struggling a little bit. But then like in Group Ascend, LGD and Ninjas in Pajamas, they're both like 0-7.
They won nothing.
They're so bad in this group, but
They still could go for playoffs.
But they could still make playoffs because they might be better than like Oh My God or Thunder Talk Gaming, which is, it's just such a weird format. I don't really know how to make it.
Why didn't they just make conferences like normal people?
Because the LCS is doing that next year. So. Anyway, all right. So that's enough of parody.
We've become an LPL podcast.
Yeah, we've become an LPL podcast.
Oh my goodness!
I think the big sum up here is parity in LOL esports right now as a whole is limited, hard to find, lots of top heavy regions.
Disparity, however, is very present.
All right. Any final thoughts on week 5? We can quickly touch on week 6 for FlyQuest.
Oh yeah.
Now, let's be careful.
Shopify Rebellion.
Let's be careful because maybe it's not the easy 2-0 that we thought it was going to be.
Well, I mean, honestly, we don't stand a chance, bro.
This team, Shopify Rebellion, they're on a hot streak. They went 2-0 against a powerhouse team, Dignitas.
Dude, our rivals for the split, all right? Like, This is the team that I think we were closest to, and if they go 0-2,
yeah,
man, we're not getting anything.
Yeah, we're not going to be in a good position, that's for sure.
It's going to be scrimming on stage.
All kidding aside, this should be a 2-0 for FlyQuest. Anything less is cause for concern and huge disappointment, in my opinion.
Oh, okay, so here's a question
I know
for you,
that's a bit
Sandy.
of a flagrant take, but
would you have said the same thing last week? Did you say the same thing last week for 100 Thieves?
I didn't say the same thing. I still predicted the 2-0 against 100 Thieves, but I'm not shocked to see 100 Thieves get a win because I think they have the capability of taking games against better teams. I don't think 100 Thieves is consistent enough to get 2 wins in a best of 3 against better teams. I don't think Shopify Rebellion is good enough at all to get a single win against the top 3 in LCS.
So I'll fight you on this a little bit. I actually think Shopify's a better team than 100 Thieves. I do believe that they can actually push the top teams a little harder than 100 Thieves can in general.
Oh, this is.
Do you think the boogie switch is gonna settle in over the?
A lot of it is boogie. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I've always been fairly like he's not the best of the best or anything, but I've always been fairly high on boogie, and so I think him coming back in really helps elevate this team a little bit, and I think it really shows, especially in Insanity's play. Insanity had an absolutely gnarly weekend against Dignitas, so I think if Boogie's in and he's helping enable Insanity to feel better about himself, I will not be shocked to see Fly drop a game because, I mean, Fly's already dropped a game to 100 Thieves. I still think Fly wins it, and in fact, I'm still in Pick'em's going to pick a 2-0, but it's not surprising to me if Fly does drop a game to this team.
This is where we give them the homie stock so they can tie 100 Thieves bare minimum.
Ooh.
Yes.
There we go. 100 Thieves out of playoffs. Yes. It's all coming together. The plan is coming together. We will erase 100 Thieves from LCS memory. All right. I think that's a very interesting take, Nox. I think there's definitely... Yeah, there's definitely room for that to be true.
We'll see how it plays out. Shopify has to play us, and then they play. Well, here's the litmus test, right? The last week is Shopify versus 100 Thieves.
Yes.
That should really cement the take.
That should.
Well, and I think
the
biggest problem for Shopify is that 100 Thieves takes on Immortals this week, which, by the way, that'll be interesting. There's actually 2 really, I would say, there's 3 really interesting matchups this week. 100 versus
it's the
IMT.
Simpsons.
That's what I'm saying. It's the Simpsons. It's the Simpsons monkeys.
Yeah, the Simpsons monkeys meme. All right, so somebody has to go make this,
what it
and
is.
we'll put it on our Twitter. Yeah, that's actually really funny. But you've got like 100 Thieves versus Immortals, NRG versus Dig, which is like another, like, okay, who's actually better?
The battle of mid.
The battle of mid. And then top of the table clash, Team Liquid versus Cloud9. One of these teams has to finally lose. And, depending on, it doesn't really matter who it is, but, this is an opportunity for FlyQuest to, if they get a 2-0, make their way, towards possibly a second place, finish, especially if Team Liquid gets the win. And as I mentioned last week, we enter into week 7 and both us and Cloud9 are sitting at 5-1. That final matchup in week 7 determines who gets the bye to round 2 of the upper bracket, which, in my opinion, is critical. You get to see your opponents play before, get a little bit of time to observe, get some data, a few more scrims in. So, yeah, I think it'll be a really interesting weekend of matches. Curly, I don't think we got the game score from you. Where are you landing on things?
2-0, of course.
Absolutely.
Naturally.
You would agree.
Naturally. I like Nox's caution, by the way, because I think it comes from what we're about to talk about in the NACL.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's actually
I pulled a hell of a jinx.
Yeah, that's a real good transition right there. Let's get into the review for FlyQuest Challengers.
Let's humble ourselves.
Nox, I am happy to tell you, I actually have watched the series this week.
Wow. Okay.
So
what'd you think?
Well, I mean, I was disappointed.
Yes.
um, as I try to get the text change in here. There we go. Yeah, I think I think the bigger disappointment for me is game one was such a huge stomp.
Yep.
Looked so good, and then game two. I mean, I'll sum up what this series was. Game two was good lead into mid game, and then basically a throw, not at Baron, but around mid lane Baron area.
Looking for a pick, basically.
Looking for a pick, and then get absolutely wiped, and Blue Water is just able to take it from there. And then game three had a huge early advantage, where Shaden absolutely popped off on the Viego. And then we basically slowly let them back into it. We never accelerated from there. And they were able to get the win themselves. So, honestly, disappointing series for me.
Yeah. I think that's honestly kind of something that I've noticed throughout. Like, even the DSG series was kind of similar, right? Where it was just like popped off game one, and then game two, we also had an early lead, and it just like massive throw, and then game three, I don't think we ever really had a lead in that one. That one was just kind of DSG rolling over us, but
Yeah.
it's kind of the same concept, right? I don't know if there's just a lack of willpower or like just like mental steel, whatever you want to call it, with this squad currently, but it's kind of frustrating to see, honestly, and this is a terrible analogy, but in a good way in a sense, but like they're fanaticking it, right? They're getting these leads and they're throwing it away.
Yeah.
It's just kind of frustrating to see, because it's like I think a lot of the early game fundamentals for the team are there. They're finding very good early game leads, and they're beginning to push their advantage. And then somewhere around the mid, it's almost like they just don't take their foot off the pedal. Like they just want to go, and sometimes it just bites them in the butt. And like in some ways, I appreciate that you're really testing your limits. I think there's also something to be said. Sometimes it's like, okay, you've pushed your limits repeatedly now a few times, and you've ended up losing because of it.
Yeah.
Maybe you should start pulling back a tad bit. That's kind of what I want to start seeing from the guys now, because I think if you start like the speed limit's 70 and they're currently going at 90, let's maybe like, it's fine if you want to go like 85 or 75, just a little, because I still want you to push, but let's slow it down just a little bit, because you're getting pulled over on every single opportunity right now by the NACL teams.
Yeah. So, definitely a tough loss for sure, and some concern there, as expressed by Nox. Now going into the final 2 weeks of NACL summer, only 2 more matches against
Still the easiest teams. It's still the easiest schedule.
Yeah. Area of effect. Now, look, area of effect, if this is anything less than a 2-0, again, huge disappointment. This team, I cannot begin to express how much of a mess this team is. There's no synergy. There's no counterplay. There's absolutely nothing. So, I don't know, they're not going to do anything worthwhile. So, should be the 2-0. But the problem is, Nox, and maybe you can speak to this a little bit, FlyQuest is kind of in a traffic jam themselves in the standings. They're tied series-wise 4-3 with Disguised and Supernova. That first place is out of reach for them. Probably second place out of reach as well. Fear X Starforge would have to lose to Dragonsteel, which is very possible. And then we would have to basically, I think the only way we get second place is literally we 2-0 CCG in Area of Effect, and then Dragonsteel 2-0s Fear X Starforged. And I think we would beat them out based off of game score.
Yeah, so there's a 10 by 10 grid going around on Twitter somewhere. If you're in the NACL Twitter sphere, you'll see it floating around. But I think FlyQuest's chances, according to that statistic graph, was like 1.27% to make
Yeah.
it into second place.
Yeah.
It's like 20% to make third, 20% to make fourth, 20% to make fifth.
Yeah.
Like that's the bulk.
Yeah, just
We're
based on,
finishing
like,
somewhere
coin
in there.
flips. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely a little bit unfortunate now, dropping, into this middle of the pack sequence. Because we have lost to Disguised, who, by the way, 4-3 in series score, 8-9 in game score. I don't know how that, like, is that just like
It's weird.
you got 2-1, you won all your series 2-1, and then you got like 2-0 a couple other times? Like, that must be how it is. So
Yeah, it was a 2-1. It was 3 2-1s, 1 2-0, and then all of their losses
are 2-0s.
have been 0-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they got 6. Yeah.
Weird.
Weird score line.
Yeah.
Very weird score line.
So you've got Supernova sitting there, tied with us as well, and not to mention, then there's Team Liquid Challengers who are sitting at 4-4, with a 10-9 game score. So like, there's a lot of traffic in these standings.
Actually, objectively,
the NACL soup, as some may call it, to reference something from back in the day. Nox, are you still confident in? Last week you predicted should be 3 2-0s in a row. Are you still confident in the remainder of our series being 2-0s?
What's so dumb is I did put caution to the wind that it's like there's a possibility with the way we've been playing that we do drop a game, and I believe I said it would be the CCG Esports.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would be Blue Otter. So you know what? I'll eat dirt on that one. Whatever. But no, I still stand by the fact that the way this FlyQuest team is playing right now is it's not really all that surprising if we drop a game. And in this case, a freaking series. Come on, boys.
Yeah.
No, it's not super surprising that like if I see them drop a game to either I hope to God it not AOE. That team's a mess right now.
Yeah,
but if we do drop it, I would not be shocked if we dropped a game to CCG. They are actually a solid team. They will be in playoffs, and I really do think they can give us a run for their money. However, I have higher expectations for our squad. They should still win this no matter what. So hopefully, knock on wood this time. I didn't think I had to last time. We wrap it up in the next 2 weeks, and it's all well and good. We finish the season at 6-3. We go into playoffs, and more than likely, we have a first-round matchup versus Supernova, which we 2-0'd this split, but they're also still a very, very scary team. So hopefully it's okay.
It's nice to see, Curly, I wonder if I bet you feel the same way. The amount of parity in this league compared to LCS.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, it just feels so much more competitive, so much more interesting than LCS is. Like, LCS is interesting in terms of like, okay, we have 3 really good teams and 5 bad teams. So who's the best good team and who's the best bad team? But this is just, NACL is just straight up to me, like, we have 1 really good team and then like 6, like, average to good teams who can all beat each other. Like, I don't know if, like, do you feel the same
love
way?
that.
Like, it just feels good.
I love that. Here's the thing. This is exactly what I think you want to see from your tier 2. Because that really means it's like people, number one, the entertainment factor is huge because you never know what's going to happen because you'll have, a top 3 team go 0-2 to a team that's barely scraping by. Like we did that this time, which rough for us as fans, but the entertainment value is there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then it's just like, it's a lot more competitive. It's going to make playoffs a lot more interesting when it gets there. And then in terms of what the process of what a tier 2 league is supposed to be, it's like, that means you're really learning a lot. Cause it's like, sure, like, yes, Dragonsteel being at the top, that's really good for them. It shows they put together a really good roster. On the flip side, that also kind of potentially means that there's some people that need to now escape this tier 2 league. It's like, so they're the team that's going to need to go probably disband a little bit, or at least lose a part here or there to hopefully give them another shot. But
Yeah.
other than that, this is exactly what you want.
Yeah. Knox, final question for you.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks left in this NACL season. Area of effect, let's assume they're donezo. They're as in like they're probably going to get relegated. Winthrop,
Yeah.
Blue Otter, CCG. Do you expect those teams, whichever ones of them, fall into this relegation tournament, do you expect them to stay alive and make it back to NACL next year? We don't know what NACL will look like next year, obviously, but whatever format it looks like, do you expect them to any of those teams to come back?
If it's CCG, yes. If it's Winthrop, which I cannot believe I'm saying this because I didn't think Winthrop deserved to be in the NACL, the split whatsoever. They bought their way in. They did not even finish top 4 in the original promotion tournament going into summer. I was actually really annoyed that they let them in. But the way they've been playing, I guess maybe they've leveled up a little bit being in the NACL. I think that the way they've been playing, I think they would survive as well. I think they'd be okay. Blue Otter, I think with the way they're playing right now, I think they'd also make it in. I'm really only expecting at the end of this summer promotion relegation tournament.
Sorry,
so going
you
into
cut out
2025.
there, like right when you said the name of the team. Which team was it?
Oh, I think all 3 of CCG, Winthrop, and Blue Otter will probably survive.
Okay.
And I think there will only be one relegation, and that will be Area of Effect Esports, because I don't know what the hell they're doing with their business management side or their team management side, but it is a mess over there.
I don't think they have either of those. So
yeah, I don't know. Either way, I expect them to be gone. We'll have a new team coming in 2025, but yeah, it's everyone else I actually think is playing well enough to stay in for 2025.
Totally fair. Totally fair. All right. Any last comments from either of you on NACL before we move to the last topic of the night?
No, I think that's about it for NACL for me.
Sweet. All right. It finally happened. FLY.RED Valorant took down Shopify Rebellion in a Game Changers tournament. Like, I was shocked. I go into these matchups now, and I just don't expect it to happen. Just like the head-to-head
is literally 1 in 5 now. This is out of 6 matches.
Yeah.
This is the first one that they have won.
Yeah. So we had got 2-0'd, 2-1'd, 2-1'd, 3-0'd, 2-1'd, 3-2'd. So it's not just it's 1 in 5 for the year, and 1 in 6 overall. So this is a huge win for FLY.RED, and absolutely needs to be celebrated. The big thing, as I think we mentioned already on the show, I am 99% sure that barring anything crazy happening in Series 3, which would be a team other than Shopify Rebellion or FLY.RED wins Series 3, that FLY.RED will be headed to the Game Changers Champions tournament, probably alongside Shopify Rebellion. As it is, they're not going to be playing again for a while, by the way, because the next open qualifier is in September, and then the next one is in October, and the main event isn't until mid-October. They're not going to play in the next 2 qualifiers because they already made it through. So it'll just...
Well, they might. Shopify has played after qualifying before in the open qual, just for practice sake.
Yeah,
they may still do that. I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see. I think it probably would be good for them to.
When we find out, we'll tweet about it. We'll let everyone know.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, absolutely, just a huge win for them. Diving into the stats a little bit.
It was a close series.
It was. So we had Icebox, Sunset, and Lotus. And the first two maps both went to overtime. FlyQuest Red getting Icebox 14 and 12 in a 53-minute map. Whew. That is...
The Donut had 30 kills, by the way.
Yeah. 30, 18 on the KD. Fluorescence just so good, by the way, still, even in a loss. And then going into Sunset, that one wound up going Shopify's way, also in overtime, 15-13 in a 55-minute map. So you had 53 minutes and then 55 minutes. So you've just played like 2 hours straight. Not to mention like the breaks in between of, you know, agent select and discussion and everything. And, you know, pre-match with map, pick ban, all that. 2 hours of Valo. And then you go into Lotus, and it's freaking Shopify Rebellion. So it's not going to be easy. But FlyQuest Red rattles off in the first... They go up 6-1 on the CT side, on defense side. Shopify Rebellion comes back a bit, though. But, you know, crucially, when it's our turn for attacker side, we get the pistol, get a couple rounds, and then we wind up closing it out 13-10. Lace really popping off, going 19-11 on Lotus. That map, by the way, 54 minutes. So just a 3-hour slugfest between these two NA heavyweights. The really unfortunate thing, if anyone can point me towards the VOD of this series, I would greatly appreciate it, because I cannot find it anywhere. So I was only able to catch what I could of the live match, and then I had to stop watching, so I missed a good chunk of it. But absolutely, probably the biggest match for them of the year. I'm sure you guys feel similarly.
Yeah, no, I unfortunately I'm the same as you, Sandy. I saw like 3 rounds of map 1, and that was all I had time to watch, just because I was out doing stuff with my wife. So it was just like, all right, well, I'll tune in later.
Yeah,
and came back to a dub, which is sick.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like now I want to be able to watch it and see what happened. I can't see what happened.
Yeah,
so
come on, Radiant GG. You know, where's the VOD at?
Pick up the slack. It's all good though. I'll go watch it at some point. Either way, I'm proud of the team. I'm happy for them. This has been a long time coming. I know they've been grinding their butts off. Logitech has been hosting them at their facility as they get practice in. FlyQuest has been obviously supporting them the whole way too, and just I don't know. It's just so awesome to see them finally get the dub, and I really hope they continue getting the grind on for the rest of the coming months until we get into actual main series 3, and then hopefully nothing funky happens.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be just a real smooth ride on the way in. Curly, what's your take on this team right now? Oh, I think you're muted, buddy.
I most certainly am. Not anymore, though. I'm just looking, like, I know I'm looking far ahead right now, but I can't wait to see us versus G2 Hell. You know?
Yeah.
That's like a really good squad. Like, it's the... I'm not a G2 fan unless it's Valorant Game Changers. I love that squad. You know?
Yeah.
So like they're my guilty pleasure of a Valorant team, right. And so I'm excited to see us against them, and I really want us to win. But again, that is way far off. We gotta run the NA circuit first.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think for me, MVP is probably gonna be. I'm gonna say it's Lace, only because of the consistency throughout all 3 maps. Dodonut was crazy good on map 1. But was not as strong on map 3. Lace was consistently either our top frag or like second. So, or just had the most kills at least. So, in terms of had the best rating on Sunset, the best rating on Lotus, and the second best rating on Icebox. So for me, Lace is the MVP, and she was on Viper, Omen, and Omen throughout the map. So huge, huge victory for them. I know that they are probably pretty excited. I'm hoping to see like some behind the scenes content coming out, because I would love to see what the qualifier looked like from their perspective. But absolutely a huge dub. Big congratulations to them. All right. Well, I believe that's basically everything for the evening. Any final topics from you guys that you want to touch on before we close out the show?
I don't think esports wise I have any. So no, I think we can wrap it up. Unless Curly, you got anything?
I don't have anything esports, but I do have I just think it's very funny that Overwatch 2 has come full circle to becoming Overwatch again.
Yeah.
That's
Aren't
just
they
my
going
random
6v6 again or
aside. They're going back to 6v. Everything that made Overwatch 2 unique is gone.
Yeah.
They were like, we're gonna have a PvE campaign, and they were like, never mind. And they're like, but it's gonna be 5v5, so at least it's different. And now they're like, hey, so you know what's back? 6v6.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's my random thing in terms of the esports scene. And then also, actually, I think we need to look at the other branch of Red, because they've been
they are
active too.
playing in ESEA Advanced. That is, if you go to bo3.gg, some of the info is finally populating on the screen. So here's actually an interesting thing about them. I thought they were getting relegated out of Advanced. They're still in it for season 50, which is crazy to me. So there's, so far in the standings, they are 1-1. FLY.RED is. So that is a good sign. They are actually, I'm trying to see when they play next. What is today? The 29th? So they're not supposed to play until August 8th, apparently. Again, is their next match, according to bo3.gg. However, I don't know what it is with Faceit, but things that, these matches just kind of like randomly show up all the time without any kind of forewarning. So be sure to check on their status on a regular basis, because otherwise you might miss it. So apparently 1-1 according to the standings, although I can't see where the loss is, because it's not showing on their matches. So, which is real strange. So, don't know what that's about. Yeah, but hopefully they'll have a match soon, and we can tune in for that. All right. Well, I think that should be everything now that we've reached the end. Real quick, shout out to the Dean Zero for the resub.
Dean.
15 months.
Dean.
Wait, hang on a second. So I think Dean just subbed for 15 straight months.
Damn. We need to do something for him.
Like, dropped like 15 month sub, because it says they've been subscribed for 16 months. So he's now, so I think he's like extended his sub for the next 15 months, which is kind of crazy. So thank you, sir. We appreciate that very much.
Wait. No way.
Yes. Yes way. I'm pretty sure that's what happened here. So.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
Bro.
That's very kind of you, the Dean.
Yeah, thank you, Dean. Thank you, Dean.
We love Dean.
We appreciate it.
That's thank you so much for the support. We appreciate it. Wow. On that note, thank you everyone for tuning into this episode of Flight Check. LCS Week 6 kicking off Saturday. NACL continues on this weekend as well. FlyQuest plays both Saturdays. They both play on Saturday. FlyQuest, you can catch Shopify Rebellion first, and then FlyQuest Challengers taking on AOE later that night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Woof! That is a late night. You can be sure to follow us on Twitter for all of our reactions and thoughts to those matchups. You can catch the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at SantosDB, Nox at NoxWar with 2 R's, and Curly at Curly_double_Q_. Make sure to hop into our Discord as well. All kinds of esports discussion and otherwise taking place in there. And if you missed any part of this episode, the VOD will be up on YouTube later tonight or tomorrow. If you're watching that and you want to catch the show live, you know what you could do? It's actually kind of crazy, man. We broadcast the episode usually every Monday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew.
This is news to me.
Any final shout-outs or plugs before we wrap up?
You know what? I'll reiterate the thing I linked on our Discord earlier about today is National Chicken Wing Day. And so if you go to our Flight Check Crew Discord, and I'm going to put it in the Twitch chat really quick. Let me hit it with the exclamation Discord. Did I spell that wrong? Or is our bot not working?
Moobot is struggling.
Okay, it's fine.
Is down.
Either way, if you join our Discord, in our food channel, I have a Instagram post that has a little infographic on all the different little discounts you can get for Chicken Wing Day today. So if y'all want to go cash in on some chicken wings before the day's up, go check that out. And then my other thing I will say is go watch Formula 1. It's kind of exciting right now. Max Verstappen's no longer dominating, and we've had like 6 different race winners in the past like 8 races.
He's not good.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's been pretty freaking exciting, and so I would definitely keep an eye out if you're into that kind of thing, or I would start watching.
Oh, you kind of cut out there at the end. Sorry.
Dang.
Oh, now's a good time to get into Formula 1.
I agree. It's
right.
It's anyone's season. That's for sure.
Y'all are trying to recruit me earlier today.
Yeah. Curly, how about you? What's your shout-outs or plugs?
So my big shout-outs is I'm going to reiterate that shout-out to the Dean Zero and recommend that you follow, or rather subscribe to his YouTube at youtube.com/@thedean0. That is the number 0, where you can catch some really entertaining Fate series videos. I think a singular random Yu-Gi-Oh video, or some quality, like tier 3 league content. So yeah, follow in there. And then if you're watching the Olympics, my personal rec right now is to watch women's rugby sevens, because that stuff is insane.
Did you see the
US
farm that one player laid out?
I didn't see that, but what I did see yesterday was France 49-0 Japan.
Oh
my was absolutely crazy.
Well, then
it was crazy.
I think the women's team today beat Great Britain 17-7.
Yes, we did. US is now in the semifinals for sevens. And then so that if you want some quality Olympic entertainment, go ahead and check out women's rugby sevens, because again, just insane gameplay. I'm gonna
actually also push the Olympics as my shout out, only because the U.S. men's and women's basketball teams, first of all, they're so good. Also, this might be your last shot at seeing Steph Curry and LeBron James play international competition together. LeBron is 39 years old. Steph Curry is also not a spring chicken anymore. I just don't foresee them playing in the 2028 Olympics. I'd be shocked, frankly. So this is your opportunity to see those guys absolutely rip apart. Unfortunately, teams like South Sudan and Puerto Rico and Serbia. So now's your chance to see them absolutely crush some teams. That is going to be it from us tonight. We will be back next week talking Week 6 LCS, Week 8 of NACL, and whatever else comes up FlyQuest's way. So for now, I'll just say, stay safe out there. Don't forget to hit the head on the nail, bite your teeth, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.